I have a little technical difficulty on my part. I got to remember to hit the button to go live. So we were already talking away, got into some football. We'll get caught up on all that in just a second. But first, tonight on Florida Live, we're going to be talking about investing in Florida, whether it's long-term rentals, short-term rentals. We'll be talking about probably some of the foreign investors that have chosen to invest here in Florida and a few other things like that. Of course, if you have any questions that's real estate related that we can help you with, by all means, drop them in the comments, either watching live or on the replay. We would certainly appreciate it. And first, my name is Eric Clark, and I'm a real estate agent here in the Cocoa Beach area. When I'm not doing videos like this one, I'm helping people buy and sell in the area. And if you have plans of moving to Cocoa Beach, I'm here to help you out. And if your plans are maybe taking you somewhere else in the state, like Boca Raton, we have Michelle Belisari here that can help you in the Boca Raton area. And if you're going even further south than that, in Miami, Hector Chinea and his team can help you at the very south end of Florida too. Woo! There we go. So second time, I guess, is the charm. When I looked at the button, it says go live, click here. So I kind of, oops, you think by now I'd gotten through all that.
Funny. Yeah, behind the scenes is always interesting, right?
Yeah, we had a nice dress rehearsal there.
We did. And we're actually talking football. Michelle, you want to show your shirt off?
I got
She's wearing her Dolphin colors.
Yay, go Dolphins.
And no surprise, but Hector, you can look over his shoulder. He's got some Miami Dolphin banners flying high. Yeah. And I need to get some propaganda behind me. I am not a Dolphin fan. No offense to the Dolphin fans out there. I'm a big supporter of the Dallas Cowboys. So we'll see if Texas and Dallas can do it this year. Maybe it'll be a Dallas-Miami Super Bowl.
It can be.
It could be.
Could be. That could be interesting.
Could be.
Yeah. All right.
We'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens. We have a new coach.
Oh yeah, who's the coach?
Huh?
Miami has a new coach?
McDaniel, yeah. Okay. Flores in the offseason, they brought in McDaniel. He was with San Francisco, and he brought some of the guys he had over there, which were very good players. One of them was hurt, Raheem Mostert, which is a running back. So we'll see how that pans out. And that's your ESPN Minute on the Dolphins.
Bingo.
I handle the cheering and the
parties
and also cocktails.
Yeah, cocktails.
Just kidding. No, really. I'm a huge Dolphins fan from way, 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 way back. And I still like to refer to the Hard Rock as Joe Robbie Stadium.
I still refer to it as that as well. Actually, last time I was down there, it's been a long time since I've seen a football game, but last time I was in the Joe Robbie or Hard Rock Stadium was for Gary Vaynerchuk when he had his first Agent 2021.
Oh, yeah.
And it was on the field. And just walking out on the field from the tunnel gave me I got goosebumps just thinking about it. It was the coolest thing.
It's massive. Yeah. That place is massive.
So cool.
But football will be a topic I'm sure we'll be bringing up here over the next couple of weeks and months as we get into the season. Tonight, it's all about real estate and investing in Florida. So how is the the investment market down in South Florida in either Miami or Boca Raton? Who wants to jump first on what's happening in your area?
Go ahead, Hector.
All right. So in my area, it's mainly the people coming from Colombia. There's a lot of uncertainty right now in Colombia with the changing of the president. People are starting to bring their money north. So they're bringing it here because Miami is the gateway to all of Central and South America, Europe. So there's money coming in from different places, mainly Miami. It's Colombia, followed by Canada. Those are the two places, right, Michelle? Michelle would know Canada. So
yeah.
That's where it's coming in from here. Most of them are buying multifamily. Some are buying investment properties here in the multifamily sector. Some are buying private units or homes, and they're moving into them, and they're living here part-time. And if they live here more than 180 days, they can claim it as a homestead. So that's kind of what they're doing, going back and forth. I don't really get into that part of it, but I just let them know, listen, you need to be here 180 plus 1 day to make sure that you get your benefits.
So with that being said, Florida, according to the National Association of Realtors study, Florida was the number one choice for 45% of Canadians the number one choice for 55% of Brazilians, and number one choice for 60% of folks from Colombia.
From the state.
They are wanting to buy here.
And here it's mainly Canadians, and here it's the Canadians and the Colombians. And I can tell you there's an influx. It's not like I'm getting one call a week or one call a month like before. I'm getting one call a week. It's kind of interesting because, we get on blogs like this all the time, guys. We work for a company that is technology driven, and we kind of can see what's going on nationwide, right? Mm-hmm. But it's interesting that Florida continues to have such great numbers, and things are going, we're trending upwards still. And I'm hearing places that, hey, our numbers are stagnant or are coming down. When I was in Sue Pinky Benson a month ago, posted on social media that her market was down. And I was like, really?
Sue's over in the Naples area, if you're not familiar with who Sue Pinky Benson is.
Right. So I saw that, and I was kind of stunned because I have not slowed down. My board is full. I was out with a client all day yesterday. I was out with clients now, and I just had an inspection. At the same time that my inspection was going on, I had a closing. And my client that is buying, their contract now is going to probably begin tomorrow. One is French Canadian. The other one is actually coming from Illinois, which is pretty interesting, But there's a lot of Canada money.
Are the Canadians buying like year round, and are they buying for investments, or is this going to be more of a second home?
I think it's going to be more investments, Eric, from what I can tell. Mm-hmm. They are basically going to buy some duplexes, and they're going to rent them out as Airbnbs, which is a great business here. Mm-hmm. So that's very interesting because we're starting to see more and more of the outside money coming in here and saying, well, I'm going to park it here just because of the uncertainty going on in some other countries.
That is pretty interesting. And that's good that you're able to help them and kind of it. I'm not certain what the international buyers are here in this area. I know the Canadian buyers, when they're shopping here in the Brevard County area, Cocoa Beach area, it's usually during the wintertime. They're down here escaping the cold. And while they're here, they're looking to shop and add to their portfolio, either another second home to use. Maybe they're outgrown the one that they're in and they want to use that as a short-term rental, or they're just expanding.
Right.
Yeah. So the study is, I just put this up from the National Association of Realtors. One of the things I want to pull out of it is 44% of foreign buyers purchased for use as vacation home, rental, or both.
Wow.
The average sale was $598,000. The median price was $366,000, which obviously is up from previous years. And this is the 14th straight year that Florida was the top destination for foreign buyers. International buyers chose Florida nationwide, 1 in 4, 24% of the purchases nationwide. And they spent $5.9 billion.
You got to do it's you can't resist.
I can't resist. So this NAR study, let me go on here, has great information. National Association of Realtors is our trade organization. We get a lot of good studies and information from them. And you can see where it says foreign buyers purchased $59 billion worth of U.S. existing homes over a 1-year period from April of 2021 through March of 2022. And then you can see the top international buyer destinations. We definitely lead the market. California second, Texas, Arizona, and New York are single digits. And then you can see the rankings here, China and Mexico as well. People are purchasing from those countries here. And then the region of origin, to Hector's point, Latin America and the Caribbean, 39%, North America, 25%, Europe, 12%. And then it really does have a wealth, literally, of information. And they're saying, too, because restrictions and with COVID, things were still down a little bit. But here's that price point of the average sale price and the median. And China and Canada remain first and second in U.S. residential sales volume at 6.1 billion and 5.5 billion. So
That's awesome.
That is.
quite a bit of information. Oh, all cash sales accounted for 44% of international buyer transactions.
Not only that, they are buying cash and they're buying, again, no contingencies, no inspections. And we as realtors, we have to make sure we let them know, that they have that. It's so important to do an inspection, even if it's a new property, even if it's a new building, a new condo, because I have seen where a new construction was not connected the right way to the main line, and 20, 30 days in, as they are using their bathrooms and using their showers and kitchens, everything backs up.
What a mess.
It's so important to get an inspection done. Have the inspector go out there, run all the lines for half an hour to an hour to ensure that everything is done correctly. But these buyers that are coming, they're like, we don't care. We'll worry about it if it's a problem. And I'm like, are you sure you want to do that? And it's just, I always say, there should be contingencies in every contract that is written, and the inspection is so important and such a vital part of that transaction for all of us. It's a way to make sure that your client is buying something that's really worth what it says it is.
Definitely. And I know, like with new construction, folks who are buying, like the second owners, when the first owner has it up for sale, there's usually items that come up during that initial home inspection that should have been caught before the original owner purchased it. A lot of times it's flashing issues, plumbing issues, like you just mentioned, Hector, or the AC ducts weren't connected properly in the attic, and you're just cooling the attic as opposed to blowing air throughout the house. It's crazy.
Yep. But we have a lot of investors here in our state, and in particular in our areas. And so, if you are looking to purchase and invest anywhere in Florida, reach out to one of the three of us, and we will point you in the right direction of good realtors that can help you with your purchase, because it's important that you work with people that are savvy about the market and also understand the nuances of things like FIRPTA, which is the Foreign Investment in Real Property Tax, which is a whole myriad of issues when you have a foreign seller. And in some cases, if you're looking at a real estate listing, it may say something in there about the FIRPTA. And I'll lob this off to one of you guys to maybe go through it or pull up a chart just to kind of talk a little bit about what FIRPTA really is.
Well, I'm not a tax expert, and by all means, you need to talk to a tax expert. If you're a foreign national, not a U.S. citizen, and you plan on selling your property, you talk to a local tax advisor that specializes in the foreign investments, so they can let you know on how much liability you're going to have when you do sell the property, and it's withheld right at closing if you don't have your tax ID number. And even if you have a tax ID number, if the buyer's not willing to cooperate, because they're in the end responsible to make sure this taxes get paid, more than likely it's going to be withheld at closing, put into escrow until the taxes can be filed to confirm what you actually owe from the sale of the property. But Uncle Sam's going to want his money, and it will be held in the intermediary.
That's right. And it's typically around anywhere between 10 and 15%. I've seen 15% be the right number on most of these FIRPTA deals. It does have to be disclosed, and it's more on whoever the FIRPTA person is, whether they're buying or selling, to file that paperwork, but it has to be disclosed to all parties involved.
Most definitely.
And typically your title company that you're working with, I have found, especially down in South Florida, more so than anything, they've got FIRPTA people that they work with for a smooth transaction. And because I had somebody ask me last year about FIRPTA, not here, they were in the St. Louis area. And so I said, listen, the company that was referred to clients of mine, I'm just going to share that with you, and you can do whatever you want with it. But they weren't as familiar with it because it just wasn't the same kind of thing. It was
Correct.
Yeah. So.
And I opened up the wrong screen there. I actually brought up the 1031 exchange. That's why it didn't make sense as I was scrolling
That's
through
okay.
it. So
It's still
I got ahead of myself.
That's right.
Oh, all right. And then to the buyers who are buying that aren't able to pay cash, do you know of banking options for them to get a loan here in the U.S. if they're a foreign national? Personally, the only ones I'm aware of that could help our Canadian friends would be like the Royal Bank of Canada, the Royal Canadian Bank.
Yeah. I do defer to like real estate attorneys on that too. A lot of times because they have some really good connections for that.
Got it.
Right. CPAs and tax attorneys as well. You want to get a CPA or a tax attorney. They're pretty, if they know what they're talking about with FERPTA, they're going to be well versed in that. And the title attorney that I use frequently, she is an ace when it comes to FERPTA. I think there has to be some kind of an intermediary in between, but she's great at it. She really knows how to handle that whole FERPTA and all the guidelines that come with it.
Oh, there you go, Michelle. I didn't see you drop that in there. So
Yeah,
there is the frequently asked. I was too busy looking at the tabs I had open to see if I could find it. So
yeah,
squirrel.
This is a company that I know one of my title companies is deferred to, and it's their website. I'm not giving any, stamp of approvals or referrals or anything on this, just happened to know that they had used them. But this kind of gives an overview of what the frequently asked questions are. So if you are in this situation or you're a buyer that's buying a property, right? You can certainly do some research and decide what direction you need to go in after, talking to your trusted professionals.
And if you don't do your homework ahead of time just to see what the consequences are for the taxes, you will lose 15% of the purchase price, depending on what the actual purchase price is. That'll be withheld by the title company for IRS.
That's right. I mean, there are ways to kind of reduce it a little bit, but whenever I talk to a client and I know that they're a foreign national, and they're talking about, hey, we have to do this under a FERPTA and use those guidelines as part of the transaction. One of the things I tell them is I let them know right from the beginning, it's going to probably cost you 15% of that money because the IRS has to get their money. I mean, it is what it is. It's a tax.
It is.
Let them know right up front, don't hold back, because I would rather my clients and you guys as well, I'm sure, they find this information out day one versus day 30 when they're at the closing table.
100%. Yeah, I try to, any hiccups that might come up in a transaction, I try to have conversations about ahead of time as early as possible, just to give them a heads up, because having that at the last hour, hey, oh, by the way, this is something we have to contend with, is never a good conversation. Do it early.
And that's why you want to have conversations on a Thursday and not a Friday too.
Mm-hmm.
You kill their weekend.
Worse.
I don't, I try to just get the information out, and that way they're aware of what's coming and they understand that, they can count on their money minus 15% for.
I had a FERPTA situation last summer and segued it over to title, and title segued it the way they need to segue it with the buyer, and and the seller spoke with their own accountant and they figured it out.
Perfect. And everybody's happy.
Yep.
Closed. So we've got a lot of investing going on here in Florida, and it's funny, we were chatting offline about taking a look at different types of properties and what rents were like here. And one of the questions that one of the observations was residential income properties, what's available. So I pulled up, I believe I pulled up Boca and Delray, duplex, quadplex, triplex, and literally came up with an astounding 15 properties. And the lowest priced property was $549.9, and that is for a 1,790 square foot property. and it is on Dixie Highway. And
Oh,
it's a
that's
duplex.
US 1, isn't it? That's up here. US 1 is Dixie Highway.
Yep, yep. And this one is, 2-bedroom, 1 bath, each unit. And so that was the least expensive one. The most expensive one is on Marine Way for $5,250,000, and that one is a quad up in Delray Beach. So we have a big range of properties. Now, if I just take that out and do it for our entire MLS, which would include Miami and around Lake Okeechobee up to Fort Pierce, Sebastian, okay, there's 909 properties, duplex, quad, triplex. The lowest price, which should be lower, 105, and that one is in
Okeechobee.
South Bay, so over on the lake. But if we start really looking at more of, let me go into the view. Hold on here. You can definitely get lower price points. It's all about location and what your end game is. So the least expensive one, like I said, was what, 105 on the lake, and it goes up to, let me see here. Here we go. Like for example, West Palm, you're looking at in the mid-2s to high 2s and higher, and it just goes up from there. So there's pretty big range.
So I know here in Brevard County, the rental market is, I'll look at single family homes because there's more stats and data on that. So a single family unfurnished home, right now we've got 160 homes that are available for rent throughout the whole county, ranging from $1,250 to a small tiny house in Titusville up to $8,000, which is a big riverfront house in Cocoa Beach. Mm-hmm. But the median rental price for the entire county is around $2,400. And we've been averaging 150 single family homes are renting every single month, and we're at 160 for inventory. So we're looking at about 1 month supply, and this has been that way for years. I did a blog post a few years ago just talking about the supply and demand. And even back then with the post, it was talking about, it looked like we had 130 to 140 rental properties on the market at any given time. And, they were renting 150 or more every single month. So back then it was 1,000 to 5,500 was about what the single family homes are. Prices have gone up since then with the median price, but there certainly is a huge demand with not enough supply. And that's why investing in our Florida real estate markets really makes a lot of sense if you're looking to expand your portfolio. Either, if you have rental properties elsewhere in the country, Florida is a good option for you to maybe start looking at to see if the numbers make sense to you because of the low inventory, the high demand, and it could be a good return on your money. And if you're here locally and you're wanting to start renting in the real estate market, then we can certainly talk to you too to help you get set up to make certain your first real estate investment is a good one. I
agree. Our rental market here, at least in South Florida, it's out of control. The mayor has been talking about capping, and they actually came out with a bill to cap the rents because, at 5%, and the landlord has to let the tenant know 60 days in advance. Well,
that's on the ballot for Orlando. When we were over there for the No Agent Left Behind, I saw the signs on every intersection about how they wanted to do rent control and to control how much the landlord could raise the prices. And it looks like it's some serious stuff that's going to be on the ballot that is, I don't know if it should be in the government's hands in regards to that, but I know something needs to be done because of the selection or the availability of rentals just isn't here anymore. And it seems like we lost a lot of rental properties to the short-term rental and the Airbnb market, at least here on the beachside communities.
Yeah, there's a multifaceted problem, right? There's that issue with the whole Airbnbs and things like that. And then there's big national companies that are buying all kinds of real estate and converting that real estate over into rentals. And so if you have the lion's share of the availability of rental properties in an area, you can name your price.
Yeah,
So
and they are.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure they are.
Don't
Here,
they have rent control though in New York City? I know
They
that's
do.
very popular there, which is why people rent there, but we're not as familiar with that here.
Yeah, I know. Like when we lived up there around 2000, one of the guys at the grocery store I worked with, his parents had a home in outside of Greenwich Village that they rented in the 60s. And the parents had since moved out. The kids had moved in and kept their lease in the parents' name. And they're paying like $400 a month for a 2-bedroom place in Greenwich Village just because they found a way to beat the system. Right. Look at Hector laughing. Anything like that happening up in Miami?
They find a loophole, man. I mean,
yeah, it's like, where you going? He's like, I'm going to my parents' house. Really? They live around here? No, but their apartment is. And he went in and explained they have it because of rent control. $400 a month. Why wouldn't they keep it?
Why wouldn't they keep it? Yeah, that is a major problem here. You know, I do agree that I think it's nice for landlords to, you know, get a return on their investment. That return shouldn't be 25 or 30%.
But if that house, let's say, you know, Bob's been living in this house as a rental and the owner sold it to Sally. Sally's now the new owner. She bought it at $450,000. She's got to protect herself too with the investment of when the lease is up. You know, she has her mortgage or her numbers are based off the $450,000 price, not the $100,000 price that the previous owner bought it at and probably rented it to Bob anyway.
Right. Most of those situations are discussed while you're under contract. We usually get, and I've been on both sides of this coin here in Miami. And what we usually do is we get the present owner to buy the other people out or get them out prior to closing. So the property is delivered vacant at closing, and that new buyer can then set whatever price he wants to set.
Correct. And
now, there is a loophole, Eric. Sorry to
no, it's good. It's good. Good. Go.
The loophole is that sometimes the person that's renting they'll ask me, what do you think they want? And we say, well, you know, they're going to be asking for, you're paying $2,400 for a 3-2. They're probably going to raise it to $3,200 or $3,000. And they'll turn around and say, okay, I'll take it for that. So, you know, there's no harm, no foul. They sign a new lease. The old lease is null and void. Now they have a new lease starting today, and it's good for the next year.
Perfect.
So what were you going to say, Eric? I'm sorry I interrupted.
I forgot what I was going to say.
It was about rentals and about
more than likely, yeah, because I know, like, if I'm selling a property that has a rental in it, you know, it would be nice to have the tenant notified and let them know it's going to be for sale, so because it's easier to show it without the tenant in there. Whoever the new buyer is going to be purchasing it, and more than likely it isn't up to the $450,000 standard, so they're going to be putting a little money into it, so it'll be brought up to the rent demand that, you know, the $3,000 or $4,000 amount is going to be too.
That's right. I
found this article. Florida Realtor is a great resource for us. It's our organization. But here's a stat. U.S. renter income needed for a modest apartment. A worker making $10 an hour in Florida must work 86 hours to afford a 1-bedroom apartment. That's really, it makes me a little sick to my stomach. It makes me a lot sick to my stomach. Agree. It's Maryland Town's bold solution to housing crisis. So there are things in the works in regard to this piece. And of course, the headline here, investors buying more homes, are they feeling rising prices? I know my daughter's rent went up $500. And so they're going to be paying, I think, $2,250. Thankfully, there's 2 of them. So that's helpful, but it's no less. They're paying for a 2-1 in Wilton Manors, and you know, went up $500. I mean, from a year ago. It's like, dude, really? But here we are.
But it's not only the increase they just got, is where does it go from here, right?
Correct.
What's the next increase? How much is that going to cost your daughter and, you know, the person that she's living with over time? If they keep increasing it, you know, sooner or later she's going to be like, I might as well just buy something, you know?
Well, that's our next move, because she's just turned 27. So for anyone watching this, if you have millennials, younger people in your house, first-time home buyers. And by the way, first-time home buyer qualifications, there's some qualifications for that that we'll go over in another, maybe that'll be one of our next things we'll talk about, which is even if you've owned a home before, there are certain guidelines that will allow you to be a first-time home buyer again after certain life
2 years.
events.
Yeah,
right?
usually it's like 2 years is what it is.
Yeah, and some life events, I think, like if you go through a divorce and then you're buying for the first time alone and things like that. So that's one thing. But look at this stat. The yearly income needed for a Florida apartment based on a number of bedrooms is, look at these numbers.
Yep.
Look at these numbers.
Yep.
And by the way, what does the average realtor make? The average realtor income is what, you guys?
Well, if they close 2 deals, it's probably like $18,000 or $22,000 a year, somewhere in there.
They say like it's somewhere between 26 and 37, maybe,
I heard 35.
because of the most recent uptick in prices. So look at this. Look at this number. Look at these numbers. It's more than even a realtor can afford.
Wow.
If that's your annual income, you know what I'm saying?
Sure. I hear you. Really quick, JT from Indiana, I appreciate you dropping the comment in on YouTube, but he says that Indiana has the best rental homes in the U.S. He's averaging less than $2,000 per rent per $1,000 in the Fort Wayne area. Well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yep, I believe it.
Thanks for tuning in, JT.
Yep, thanks. You know, Miami is what scares me is, even with the rent controls, how much is it going to change, right? Because there's always a loop around. There's always a way around it. And if somebody doesn't know what they're reading in their lease and they signed their lease 5 years ago and now they're on a month-to-month, what prevents or what keeps that landlord away from saying, I'm going to increase you 10%? Well, how can you do that? Well, we don't even have a lease. So
it's implied that if you're on a month-to-month, it continues on until something's changed in writing. But the landlord could easily give the notice to vacate if you're on a month-to-month too. If you're on a standard month, then they only need to give 2 weeks notice and ask you to leave. So that's kind of scary too. I know my mom lives here in Cape Canaveral, and she's been renting for some time. And the place she just moved from, the landlord was like, we're going to sell. At least the property manager knows me. And he's like, hey, the owner wants to sell. I just want to give you a heads up. And so we had to scramble 2 years ago to find my mom a place.
Right? Yeah, that's tough.
Yep.
It's funny because Michelle, she just put up these numbers. And if you look at the cost to buy versus the cost to rent, it's like this right now. You're better off buying than you are renting.
I just had a conversation with someone about this, and I said, look, I know you want this. This is what you can afford. Trust me when I tell you a year from now or 2 years from now, you're going to be upset that you're still renting because you're going to remember this conversation.
And getting your dream home isn't your first purchase. It is just like Monopoly. You buy one greenhouse, and then you buy the second greenhouse, and you just keep up. You keep improving from there. So you buy the one house, you improve it, you let the equity build. You either use that as a rental property to buy your next property, or you sell that and take the equity you have in that to make the next purchase. So it could take 5 to 7 years for you to get that dream house. But at least if you do purchase, you're building the equity and not paying somebody else's mortgage.
Well, so that was my next point, Eric. If you really think about this, do you want to pay 6 or 7% to a bank and own 100% of something, or do you want to pay the landlord 100% and own nothing? That's kind of, you got to look at that.
And if your lease is up in 12 months, there's no guarantee that they're going to want to extend it either. So every 12 months, theoretically, you could be moving. That's no fun.
That's right. I rented, I got out of the military in 95. I think we rented for 8 months. And I was like, where is this money going? And my rent was like $500, Yeah, I was just going out the door, 100% to the landlord. And the guy was a jerk, but that's for another day. But we ended up saving money for those 8 months. And I said, there's got to be a better way, My mom helped me out a little bit at the time, and we bought our first townhouse. And this is what you guys are saying. When you buy real estate, it's like building blocks, right? It's like a stepping stone. You bought this property, great. Then you can now look at, do you want to buy another home and maybe rent this one and use this one to help you get there? So before you know it, you may own 3 or 4 homes, or the equity of each home has helped you build up to the next purchase.
Most definitely. And I know whenever my wife and we buy a place, we always think of that next step too. So when we're purchasing the property, we look at what the rents are in the area to see if our current mortgage will, if rent could cover the current mortgage. So if that's a check, that's part of the check boxes we go through, so that when it's time for us to go to the next property, we know that we purchased smart originally to use it as the rental property down the road.
And it is one of my biggest regrets, Eric. Your point exactly. My first townhouse, Flagler and 82nd, right here off of
I wish I would have held on to it.
Gee, I paid $72,000 for that townhouse.
Oh.
They sold one. Yeah, it pains my stomach. They just sold one in there for $435,000.
Wow.
I mean, I would have paid that thing off a long time ago anyway, but I could have been 100% return on that. And it's like, I wish I just had that not so much nearsightedness, but look down the road and said, you know what, this is the way to do this. I should have looked at it that way. So it's a regret.
I do encourage home buyers, take a look at the Florida Housing website. This is the SHIP program where you can qualify for down payment assistance based on the number of people in your household and income. It is a state program, and I highly recommend people research that. The other piece of the pie, of course, is the Hometown Heroes, which is also under Florida Housing, by the way. I think I can, let me just jump in here. Hometown Heroes. I'm a terrible speller.
and as you're bringing up the Hometown Heroes, I know that there's local banks here in Brevard County, like the Community Credit Union. They've always offered programs for teachers, for firefighters, first responders. So besides the Hometown Heroes that Michelle's pulling up, there's local programs that can offer discounts, or the lender will help buy down the rate. It'll be a cheaper program for you in order to get in, so that you're no longer renting, you're actually becoming a homeowner too.
Yeah.
And if you get with a lender that understands these programs, they'll walk you through different pieces that can blend things together too. Not to mention gifting options that you are allowed to get from family to help you. I think it's great that they allow that. There are limitations on that and specifics that need to come into play, but a lender who is used to working with first-time home buyers will understand some of these nuances. So if you have a question about any of this, reach out to Hector, myself, Eric, Amy. She's not here today. That was my husband, Andy, not Amy. And I'm on. So, we can help you with this and help segue.
And if you are watching this on the replay, you can drop in the comments and we'll see it. We can certainly respond back to you. And also if you're watching this on YouTube on the replay, our contact information is in below. If you're watching this on Facebook or LinkedIn, just drop a message in there. And I always follow up on any of those comments, and I'll make certain if it's in South Florida, I'll connect you with Michelle or Hector. And of course, if it's here in Brevard County, I got you covered.
Yep. A lot of people don't understand that the Hometown Heroes program that Michelle was just speaking about a minute ago, there's over 50 professions. And I just did a video on this, so I remember from the video. There's 50 different professions that actually would qualify for the Hometown Heroes. And there's about $363 million set aside by the government of the state.
That's awesome. So it's on your YouTube channel?
It's coming.
Oh, it's coming. It's not on yet.
It's not on. I did it a week ago. I did talk about the Hometown Heroes because for me, that's important. I mean, I think, a daycare worker, a daycare supervisor, even they can get the Hometown Heroes, right? Because, childcare is so important. They're considered part of heroes for the community.
Most definitely. And it takes a village to raise a child. So we're all helping out in that regard.
Yeah. Absolutely. I'm eating a popsicle.
Nice. It is summertime. That sounds pretty good. I might have to hit the fat donkey around the corner here after I'm done wrapping up and getting some ice cream.
Freaking hot. I have not cooled down from showing property in Southwest Ranches today, Hector.
Oh, I was in Pembroke Pines and Miramar and Weston yesterday. This is what I wear every day.
I don't know how you do it.
It was when I jumped in the car, right?
You smelled.
Well,
that's true too. That's why he has the jacket for another layer.
I smell
today.
It was no. I buy nice jackets. I spend a little bit more money, but they're thin. Even though they look nice, they're thin, like wearing almost a long sleeve shirt.
Okay,
the secret is you wear a short sleeve shirt underneath, and then you're okay. So
you're good.
It works. You're good. So
I was stomping around ranchettes today.
Yeah, no, I believe it. This car registered 108 degrees yesterday when I jumped in it.
Wow.
You know,
just so y'all know, because we're talking about different types of housing options and whatnot, Florida is not just about the beach. So where Hector was and where I was today, I saw 2 ponies in a corral. I saw a peacock, wild turkeys, and a chicken coop.
Excellent. I was in West Melbourne today, and I passed. There's like 5-acre tracts of land out there in between the houses in this particular area, and there's cattle.
Oh, moo.
Yeah.
Eric, let me ask you a question. Do you guys have there's a certain amount of livestock that if you have it on your property, your taxes are way down, like nothing?
It depends if it's agriculturally zoned or you can get it agriculturally zoned. I'm sure there's some areas like that. I am certainly not an expert on that. I know that up until 3 years ago, there were sections of Brevard County that you could qualify for the USDA loan for that reason. And they've since revamped it where it's a smaller section of Brevard County. It used to be like Port St. John, which is residential quarter-acre lots would qualify for a USDA loan, which didn't really make sense. But, we went with it.
The interest is so low on a USDA loan. Yeah, it is. Crazy.
Are the cows still out there by the Don Shula's Steakhouse? Remember they used to have cows out there by the steakhouse, by the way.
Talk about fresh.
I think, for real. Farm to table. I think that one little tract of land is still there. I believe there are cows there. And we used to terrorize those poor cows.
Oh my God. Out West Delray by Delray Marketplace, I drove by off Lines one day and I'm like, damn, I never saw those cows before. They were hiding. And then another time, I don't know what road I was on out West Delray and I saw some cows, but I never forgot. This was years ago, calling on his bears down in Miami. I drove by and I went, are those cows in the middle of Miami?
Yeah, there's 2 sections, right? So that's across from Main Street in Miami Lakes.
Yeah.
And they built out. There's a Buca de Beppo, or at least there's a Publix, a big beautiful Publix, and then there's 50 acres.
Yeah.
And
wow.
And it's even what's even
the cattle industry is huge in Florida. People just don't realize that. They just don't associate it.
Huge, especially Ocala and north of Ocala, all the way to the state line. I've got a client that owns some land out there. And he that's what he does for a living. He buys and sells livestock, and that's how he makes his money. But over here in Doral's beautiful. I mean, it's we call it Doralzuela because most of the Venezuelans have bought up Doral and have made it like a mini Venezuela, which is cool. But there's one guy, I think it's one guy that owns it, and he's holding out, and he owns. There's probably 100 cows in there. So you've got Diviero restaurant, which is delicious. You've got all these great restaurants and places to eat, and like a massage place and a spa, and right across the street, it's huge. It's probably 50 to 75 acres.
In January, Channel 7 in Miami, that's all I'm going to say, said cell phone video captured the 20 or so 4-legged fugitives as they strolled through suburban streets.
Awesome.
Cows were seen roaming in Miami. In Miami Lakes.
Yes.
In Miami Lakes.
It was that piece of land you're talking about.
Hold on.
Somebody opened it. It was open somehow, and they all ran out.
Somehow. Yeah, some
Hold on.
teenagers were there raising a little cane.
Seriously, the cows got loose. Hold on.
I'm
this is-
too old for that, Eric, but I'm sure
Right,
somebody
here we
else
go.
did that. You know.
Here we go.
Let's see
So,
what you
the
got.
cows were seen trotting up and down the street.
Yeah.
We'll have to
They
look for some
trampled
video
over-
clips on that one.
Christmas
Yep.
decorations and mailboxes.
Yep.
They, they were hungry.
They were hungry.
Oh, Lord. Are you reading this? Their poo-poo is going to be glitter because I guess somebody at Cowie, it was around Christmas time. But how
Oh,
did they get out?
somebody opened a gate. Somebody.
Oh, it
cut
says
the
area
fence.
residents said there
Yeah.
are cattle farms near the neighborhood, but it remains unclear.
Yeah.
Huh. There you
There
go. There they are.
Yeah. Look at that.
So these live broadcasts are no bull. We bring you the facts of what's happening in the area and
Eat more chicken.
eat more chicken. I think we're just going to have to end it on that because that's how can we top that?
How can you top that, right? Eat more
Awesome.
chicken.
Well,
So,
it looks like we lost Michelle. She's spinning.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Um,
was having some connection problems. She had told me about it a few minutes ago.
yeah, and I know there's a lot of storms. Like there was a big storm that came through Brevard County here tonight. It was still lightning and thundering when I came in here to the office. I imagine I might have a light show here tonight on my way home.
Right.
But another good conversation about our Florida real estate market, an aspect that we haven't talked about yet, the rental market and what you can expect. So if anybody here, if you do have questions about the rental market, buying your first property, expanding your portfolio, seeing what's available in the Central Florida area or South Florida area, or if it's anywhere else in Florida, we certainly have connections we can connect you with on that too. Hector, thank you for your time and your knowledge that you brought to this. Always appreciated.
Thank you, Eric.
And we will see you soon on another Florida Live. Next week's the FAR convention, so I don't know if we're going to have this next week. It'll probably be 2 weeks for the next show.
Right. It'll be 2 weeks. We'll be out because of it. And the other thing, Eric, was I wanted to ask you, since we're about to sign off and Michelle's back.
Welcome back, Michelle.
Howard George. Sorry, guys.
Question for you, Eric. When's the next launch?
All right, so we've got 3 launches coming up.
Nice.
The big one is Monday, the 29th at 8:30, which is Artemis.
I'll be there.
Oh, cool.
That's going to be huge. There's going to be all right, so Cocoa Beach and Cape Canaveral, it's between the two is about 25,000 people. They're expecting 150,000 people in Brevard County to watch this launch.
Wow.
So they'll be along US 1 from Titusville to Cocoa along the Indian River. They'll be on 528, just bumper to bumper packed. The beaches will be packed. It's going to be an awesome show.
It's
And
8:30 in the morning or 8:30 in the evening?
in the morning, hold on. I'm pulling
Oh,
up
wow.
my
I'll be there.
live app. Space, next flight. So that's Monday. We've got 3 of them coming up here. Friday. So Friday morning or Friday afternoon at 3:24, SpaceX has a Starlink launch. And then Saturday at 9:52 p.m., SpaceX has another Starlink launch. So that's a night launch. Those are always my favorite. And then Artemis. This is the biggest rocket ever to be launched from the Kennedy Space Center. It's going to be massive. This is going to be the rocket to take us back to the moon and probably beyond. The SLS, which is NASA, is who designed and built this rocket, is launching from 8:33 a.m. from Launch Pad 39B. And if you go to Instagram and just Google and search hashtag Artemis, you'll see pictures of the rocket on its pad. And it's like the old 1960s Apollo mission or the Saturn mission is how it looks with the on the
On Launchpad?
exactly.
Okay. I'll definitely be there Monday because I have to for the convention. I'm going to be up there this entire weekend setting
Yep.
up my son at UCF.
Cool.
Right?
Oh, wow. Cool. And
So-
we're going to see you next week.
I'll be
That's
there.
right. FAR
I'll
convention.
be there both days, but I think I'll be there Wednesday because of a scheduling conflict. I got to get back. I've got 3 inspections I got to do, but yeah, I mean, definitely I'll be there, and I'm really excited to see you all, at the convention. And like you said, Eric, 2 weeks from now, we'll do this all over again.
Yep. Sounds good. All right.
Guys,
Appreciate everybody for tuning in. We'll see you on the next Florida Live.
take care, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.